Hello and welcome back to Just the Receipts. This is part 3 in our conversation with a psychologist who is also a viewer within the true crime community on YouTube, and more specifically, the Summer Wells community. She shares her thoughts and insights with us, and we also invite you to share your thoughts and insights down below in the comments, as well as any questions you may have for the psychologist. Your question may be chosen for a future episode. What about when you see creators who say that all opinions are welcome, it doesn't matter if we disagree, everyone's welcome in the chat, but then you see the moderators, banning and deleting comments that simply disagree with the creator.
I've seen that, yes.
And they're not communicating in a disrespectful way. They're not cursing. It's just, it seems to be, just in dissent with what the creator is stating, and those people get taken out. So, for me, I think it's up to the creator to control, how the moderation is happening. And
sure, yes,
at
absolutely.
the end of a live chat, the creator can go back and look at the live chat to see which moderators deleted what comments and, who put who. And they actually do call it timeout in YouTube.
Like yeah, I've been timed out once ever for misunderstood comment.
Oh.
So I've experienced that once. Kind of feels like a spanking.
Yes. Yeah, it's frustrating, and yeah, it does feel like you're being treated like a child if you're not, if you're not being rude or insulting and just stating your opinion. And I think that also may discourage a lot of people who are being silent to speak up and give their own opinion.
Absolutely, especially those that are more, as we basically understand it, as introverted people. Although that is also something that's not necessarily hard and fast, but. Yeah, you do have a lot of actors in the audience are non-speakers, and for various reasons. One of those would have been me if it wasn't that I wanted to interact. I mean, I'm passionately involved in the Summer Wells case. I've got opinions, so my interaction isn't just clinical, if you will. Okay, let me just go back to what I believe we're talking about or getting at.
Sure.
And I'm thinking of a specific creator circumstance. I have to keep going back to this. There's no way to really avoid talking about this. When we talk about empowerment of moderators and, stating your the ethics of your channel to be one thing, but behaviorally acting in a different way. Yes, I've seen that a lot. I've also seen where the creator will have several people on the panel. I think it's maximized at 10. I've seen a maximum seated panel a few times on this channel I'm thinking of, but that creator also will leave that, just not physically leave it, but will on perhaps some other device go and visit other channels' live chats and interact while there's a live chat going on that, that creator's channel.
Right.
And that person does it a lot.
Yeah.
And doesn't know it's been observed.
Right.
It was called out recently by another unpopular creator who got and has arguably gotten way too involved in the Summer Wells case, but also got legally involved, in other cases and stuff like that. So it's another bad creator actor, but even that person called, this other creator out.
Right.
So, there's just really bad no-nos that go on. When we talked about brokenness and experiences in younger life that emotionally stunt a person, that causes them to have a pause in emotional development or a delay even, and a maladaptation of maturity emotionally and psychologically. And these people will grow up and become adults. And what that looks like in some people is called entitlement, another word that is used a whole lot.
Oh.
There is another thing called helicopter parenting that goes on, and we have an entire generation of adults that were helicopter parented. So if I were to do a personality profile just on observing the behavior, emotional and psychological development is really key, especially beyond the ages of 5 to 7, which Jean Piaget calls that the 5 to 7 shift. It's kind of where your kid goes from being, you're its world to the child realizes they're part of a bigger world and starts interacting with that. Okay.
Yeah.
So with this understanding, a person traumatized at a young age prior to psychological development or puberty development will bring a childish viewpoint to everything they see in adulthood.
Okay.
They will also look for what's been missing emotionally for them growing up. I would guess that person not only did have a trauma at a young age, was parented by helicopter parents or parents that were not present. My feeling and indication that they were moneyed people that, like a 2-parent working household kind of a thing. And that there's an element of entitlement, above the law, sort of, my daddy will save me type of mentality. These are characteristics that seem to be observable in the personality of this creator and how they interact with other people, because you see those shapings, the things that are written, like Dr. Phil would say, written on your slate when you're younger, those things don't go away. Right. They interact psychologically, whether you have recollection or not, as an adult. And you bring those things to whatever you do as an adult. So the creator I have in mind, not only do I believe has relevance to the things I've already mentioned, but will look for emotional attachments. Will also not understand personal responsibility, including apology and what apology means.
Yep.
And the sincerity behind understanding that with an apology requires a behavioral change.
Right.
If you don't see that, you should ask yourself, this person, do they think they're entitled? Do they, you have to start thinking about what would bring that person to thinking that way.
Right.
You've got a lot of parents coming in these chats, all right? A lot of parents.
Yeah.
And this person I'm thinking of is also a parent. However, you can observe the parenting that goes on with this specific individual and see that the deficiencies she had, including emotional immaturity, is brought forth into her parenting today. Yeah. So you can see that there is a lack of judgment, mature judgment, reasonable judgment. There's a lack of responsibility as a parent in terms of exposure. Should I expose my children or my child to this? There is a lack of connection to the psychological impact from being an ambient individual in the room. In other words, person that's listening, maybe in the other room or whatever.
Yeah.
And you have a child in this scenario I'm thinking of, you have an adolescent child in another room, or even in the same room, listening to months and months and months and months of people, not just the creator, but people attacking, talking, interacting, discussing this specific case, and then moving from a virtual understanding of that case and taking into reality.
Mm-hmm.
If you go, for example, to visit that location, not only are you doing something that's inappropriate. I mean, I have a big problem with immersing yourself in a criminal case. It's just wrong. You shouldn't do it. Doesn't matter what your intentions are. You should not do it.
Yeah. And I want to get into that a little bit more after you complete your thoughts on this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think pretty much I've kind of described what I'm thinking in terms of, how this comes to be and why this is a problem. In mentioning the fact that there are parents in the audience as well, people can perceive the brokenness of a creator. They can perceive brokenness of other people. And there is an element of compassion that still exists in people to want to help, to want to rescue, to want to do whatever is possible in their power to benefit other people. And there's reasons for why they do that. It's not always altruistic. And for the majority of the time, people that donate, people that support, are not doing it for altruistic reasons. They're doing it for a payoff, whether it be a payoff that they lost somebody in their life and they're trying to put forward good karma, or prohibitive karma to keep themselves from having that same problem. Or I can think of a number of different examples to put around this. And I think that you understand what I am saying. These dynamics play out in a chat, in a circumstance. And when you've got people that are in a rescue mode, that's a dangerous dynamic that's going on as well. And you'll see that a lot in parents. But you also have an example of not seeing that in the creator that I'm thinking of, because those are voids for that person, given that they were not emotionally well developed and due to their experiences in life. I think that there's a maladaptive parent situation that is absolutely predictive of what's going on today. People have a need for social attachment. There's psychological needs being met for everybody that participates, in these circumstances. There's something called co-creation value, where they feel that they are helping to create something, not just being a participant, but they are creating, new worlds together. And, that value will drive the participation as well as drive the money giving. And then there's always acknowledgement needs that are involved in this too. Have you ever noticed that when you, and we're gonna make this personal, have you ever posted on a message board or in a chat and then just got up and walked away, not caring what was said in response to it? Have you ever done that?
Always checking for replies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there is a payoff. Yeah. Dopamine is alive and well in our brains interacting with people. And there is a dopamine reward every time you get a response, every time you get a ding ding for a message on your phone. There's dopamine rewards to this.
Yeah.
So.
Gosh.
I know a lot, right? I mean, I could just keep going.
It's so valuable. I definitely want to get into the people who take it real life and involve themselves in the case a little bit later. But I think my next question would be, do you think that some of these creators, if they are being purposefully manipulative, do you think that they target certain people for their own financial gain? Do you think that they'll call out certain chatters by name and give extra attention because they've seen in other chats or in their own that they do financially give? But do you think that they specifically target people or groups of people?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I believe this is a question for you, because I don't have a great deal of YouTube experience in terms of, mechanics and that sort of thing, how it works mechanically or whatever. Yeah. Are you aware, what information is given to you when somebody subs to your channel? Do you get their email address and name? No. Do you know who they are?
No.
Do you get any info when they unsub?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do,
So the
do you get
only
any information on memberships?
I'd never had memberships. I have another channel that I run and I've had for several years, but I never put memberships on that channel. I didn't think, well, for me, I didn't think that I had any extra content to offer to that would justify charging a fee for. But
Well, I mean, we could argue that, I mean, you could actually create that, but neither here nor there. Here.
well, for when someone subscribes to a channel, if there's an option where the user can say that their subscriptions are public. And
Okay.
when you go to that person's channel and you click on their, I think it might be subscriptions, but it'll show all the channels that they're subscribed to. And those who have opted for that, I can see when those people have subscribed to my channel. But if they're keeping it private, I won't know who the majority of these people are. I don't know if the people in
That's
my
key to
chat,
know.
yeah, I don't know if the people in my chat are even subscribed unless they tell me. So there's no demographics that are given on subscribers. So YouTube will offer, the analytics are pretty good, and they'll show you the demographics of who's watching your channel. And there's a percentage who are subscribed and not subscribed. So you can see the breakdown of that. And you can also see age and gender of who's watching your channel. So for this genre, it does seem to be women, mostly women. I would say it's definitely over 95%. That are between the ages of 40 and I think 65.
65 is exactly correct.
Yeah.
Yep. I looked up those stats.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh.
And that's all we get on our viewers. We don't get any kind of, we can tell from just an aggregate of where they're watching from, what only by country. It's only broken down by country. And how they came to find the video, if they received a notification. So it's very general. So you don't get information on specific subscribers.
Okay, that's key to know, because I that is the crux of my question. Can a creator identify me if I sub and then unsub, or join and then unjoin? Okay, because I would have sworn, from what I've observed, and here's what I've done, just so that you know. I have joined and unjoined a couple of channels to test this, to see if they would know it's me. And I swear, these two test memberships or whatever, it was only for a month. And I swear they knew that I unmembered them, because the way they interacted with me was different. One stopped talking to me.
Were you a paid member?
Well, you pay for a membership.
The memberships they will know, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what information they received on members, though.
It's going to say, I swear they have to know somehow, but then again, It could be, there is margin of error when you do these, little quasi social experiments with people, but it seemed as though there was some indication that they knew. And so in that respect, if a creator knows, and especially if their behavior is different toward you, they're tracking you for your money.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. I think that it would be silly not to, seriously. If you're a creator and you're on there, to make this your supplemental or your main income or whatever it is, but if you're, of that mind, you're absolutely going to vet out every single one of your people. You might even look each one of them up. And, I can see certain creators doing that.
Sure.
And then making videos or topic friendly things that they're passionate about in order to encourage them to give more. It's also a really interesting persuasion tactic to talk about sad things. Sad fishing is what they call it out there. It's especially sad if it's you. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how much my tax bill was this year. I am blown away. Things like that. Boy, oh boy, well, I guess this month, little Venus won't get her, top of the line Rachel Ray puppy food, kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. It's kind of being petty, but this is real life stuff,
That's motivating. So. I can help you out. I'll throw you a few dollars. You should get
That's right. We will not have little Venus having Anything less than real meat and real potato.
Right. And there are so many animal lovers too. One other question I had about viewers. Do you find that a lot of viewers within the true crime community tend to be more empathic than viewers outside of the community that might watch other types of videos?
And by empathic, are we talking about being sensitive to other people's feelings and having an ability to perceive other people's feelings? Is that what you mean by empathic?
Yes.
Okay. There is a flaw, as I started to say, there's a flaw in our social existence, I guess you would say, that we're seeing a deficit in people who are able to really get in touch with not only their own feelings, but the feelings of other people.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a talent. I've always said that there are 3 levels of thinkers. One is I can talk about me, they're me centered. The second one is a me and you centered. And then the third one is it's me and you in the world and how we create a dynamic centered. And most people are not able really to get beyond that first level if they're not very empathic. Now, you probably are sitting there and saying, I can actually think of people that fit into those categories.
Yeah, that is what I'm thinking.
We are seeing a large uptick in autistic spectrum disorder.
Yeah.
Autistic spectrum disorder has a very large effect on person's ability to socially interact appropriately, especially within the confines of cultures. In other words, you behave one way if you're an Amish person, and you behave another way when you're not. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't have ability to do that. And part of that ability requires empathy. You have to be able to perceive the temperature of a room in order to insert yourself in it. And this is a problem it's a growing problem, especially for people that we're seeing on the spectrum. So knowing that we have a large influx of people that really don't understand empathy, I would say that the role of empathy does play out, but it's extremely misunderstood. People also get it mixed up with sympathy, but that's a whole nother thing. But we do have a flaw. We do have a problem with being able to understand, perceive, and react to each other's emotions appropriately. It is a growing problem, in my opinion. This is something that's improving. And it's also largely affected by the advent of the internet.
Right.
So we have to take a look at, the fact that these are norms that have changed. It's just not behaviors, it's norms. Empathy is a problem for a lot of people now because of those norms that have changed and because we do have some social flaws that are happening. And of course, you're going to see those on YouTube.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Well, I guess I still have the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I circled the airport a lot.
No. I appreciate all of that. I agree with you. You do see more of it, and I was wondering, I have been wondering if it's something that's just being noticed more. But I think you're right. The internet and people being on the autism spectrum who have difficulty with that seems to be becoming more prevalent. But do you think that people who watch true crime videos or the creators that we're kind of talking about today in general terms, do you think that this group of people tend to, well, maybe a better term would be a little more soft-hearted than others?
Do I think creators
No,
in true crime?
Viewers. Yeah, I don't think creators.
Viewers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The answer to that is absolutely, just so that you know.
Okay.
Because true crime itself is emotionally provocative.
Right.
It's provocative to people that are weird, that have a fascination for it. I'm just going for the weirdest one first.
Yeah.
It's fascinating for people experientially that have gone through problems and they're looking for, as mentioned before, looking for related feelings that they can, normalize themselves with. Some people are there for information, and like me, I'm there for information and just to observe, kind of things. So you have a lot of dynamic that's going on in there that's playing a role. And a very small margin of people go on there being themselves. So you do have that issue too.
So my guess is that a lot of these soft-hearted people are, well, this is a huge generalization, but I maybe a lot of them are animal lovers too.
Well, when you've been put through trauma, and crime, true crime has to do with trauma. It's either trauma to you or trauma to somebody else. And for the sake of understanding, it's trauma to somebody else. We all want to see the car wreck. We all want to rubberneck and see what's going on. And it's part of our social learning understanding. Social learning is a theory, a long theory in psychology, long tested, very solid, by Albert Bandura, that says you learn basically how you're going to be based on what other people are doing and saying and thinking. So you're always social learning. You're always creating this new understanding of yourself because you redefine who you are, what your likes are, what they're not, what you're interested in, so on and so forth, based on what's trending around you. That's got a huge impact on what we're talking about here. So crime in and of itself involves trauma. Trauma is always going to be emotionally evocative, and especially when you put younger people in the mix. So example, Summer Wells case, very provocative. She's a 5-year-old child that went missing from East Tennessee, and there's a lot of information to be had about what those possibilities might be. I don't have a missing child, never did. It's always been, I have daughters, and it was always, my worst fear, but I don't have experience to relate to that. But I absolutely can empathize with that. And I feel like I could understand at least some of the depth of how bad those feelings must be. We as people have a desire to want to look at that and see it. We want to see what that looks like for whatever reasons that I mentioned, wherever your mindset is. It's not just for creepy reasons we want to see and talk about other people's trauma. So, did that help at all?
Yeah.
Or did I just get more confusing with the empathy question?
No, it just gives me more and more to think about. I'm going to be.
Yeah, there's a lot going on when there's a lot going on.